You know that moment when everything's going perfectly. You're with your partner, the mood is right, and then suddenly without warning, your body just stops cooperating. 1 minute, you're fully there, ready and confident, and the next minute, you feel yourself losing it. The panic sets in. Your mind starts racing. You're desperately trying to focus, trying to will your body back into action. But the harder you try, the worse it gets. Your partner might notice, and that makes everything 10 times more awkward. You start wondering if something's seriously wrong with you, if this is just how things are going to be from now on, if you'll ever feel that confidence again. But here's what most men don't realize, and what I'm about to share with you could completely change your experience. This isn't just in your head, and you're definitely not alone. There are specific, fixable reasons why this happens. And once you understand the actual biology and mechanics behind it, you can take back control. What I'm going to reveal goes beyond the basic advice you've heard before. We're talking about the real physiological processes, the hidden factors most doctors never mention, and the evidence-based solutions that actually work. So if you've ever felt that sinking feeling of losing your erection right when you need it most, stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why it happens and what to do about it. To truly understand why men lose their erection during intimate moments, we need to start with how the entire process actually works in the first place. This isn't some mysterious magic. It's pure biology, and it's actually fascinating when you break it down. The whole thing begins in your brain, specifically with your parasympathetic nervous system. This is the part of your nervous system responsible for rest, digestion, and yes, sexual function. Think of it as your body's relaxation mode, the opposite of your fight or flight response. When you become aroused, whether through physical touch, visual stimulation, or mental imagery, your brain kicks into gear and starts sending electrical signals down through your spinal cord and into the pelvic nerves. These nerves are like highways, carrying crucial messages to your penis. Now here's where it gets really interesting. From a biological standpoint, those nerve signals trigger the release of a molecule called nitric oxide into the smooth muscle cells that line the arteries inside your penis. Nitric oxide is absolutely critical to this entire process. It's the key chemical messenger that tells those penile arteries to relax and open up, to dilate, and allow significantly more blood to flow through. When those arteries relax and widen, blood rushes into 2 specialized chambers in your penis called the corpora cavernosa. These are like spongy tubes that run the length of your shaft, and they're designed to fill with blood and expand dramatically. Research that's been published in major medical journals focusing on sexual medicine has shown something really important. Men who have higher levels of nitric oxide in their system consistently demonstrate better erectile function. They get harder faster, they maintain their erections more easily, and they have better overall sexual performance. The more nitric oxide your body can produce and utilize, the smoother and more efficient this entire vascular process becomes. It's like having a well-oiled machine versus one that's starting to rust and stick. But getting blood into your penis is only half the equation. At the exact same time that blood is rushing in through those dilated arteries, something equally important has to happen with the veins that normally drain blood out of your penis. There are tiny valves in those outflow veins, and they need to close off and seal tight. This is called venous occlusion, and it's what traps the blood inside your penis, creating the pressure necessary to maintain a firm, rigid erection. Think of it like filling a balloon while simultaneously pinching the end shut, so nothing escapes. It's a delicate balance between smooth muscle relaxation, healthy arterial function bringing blood in, and effective venous closure, keeping blood trapped inside. This is where age becomes a significant factor that affects millions of men, and it's something that happens gradually, so you might not even notice it at first. As men get older, the body's natural ability to produce nitric oxide from the endothelial lining of blood vessels decreases substantially. The research on this is clear and consistent across multiple studies. Nitric oxide production can decline by as much as 50% between the ages of 40 and 70. That's a massive drop, and it's one of the primary biological reasons why erections tend to get weaker and less reliable as you age. Your penile arteries simply aren't getting the same clear, strong signal to relax and open up that they received when you were younger, and your nitric oxide production was at its peak. But here's the part that should give you hope, and this is based on actual clinical experience, treating thousands of men with these exact issues. Just because nitric oxide production has declined doesn't mean it has to stay that way permanently. Your body is remarkably adaptable, and there are proven ways to optimize this process. The approach that works best is evidence-based and systematic. You identify the root causes affecting your specific situation, whether they're physical, psychological, hormonal, or a combination of factors, and then you address them methodically. There's always room for improvement and optimization, regardless of your current age or how long you've been experiencing problems. For instance, there's compelling clinical research showing that certain natural compounds can significantly boost nitric oxide production and even help reverse a condition called chronic venous insufficiency. This is when those tiny valves in the outflow veins become leaky over time, allowing blood to escape from your penis too quickly during sex, which obviously makes it very difficult to maintain a firm erection. One compound that's been extensively studied is French maritime pine bark extract. Research published in respected cardiovascular pharmacology journals has found that this extract improves something called endothelial function, which is basically how well the inner lining of your blood vessels works, and it enhances nitric oxide bioavailability, meaning more nitric oxide is actually available for your body to use. The result for men with vascular issues was a measurable reduction in symptoms of venous insufficiency, which translates directly to better blood retention in the penis and stronger, more sustainable erections that last throughout sexual activity. When you combine targeted supplementation with the right lifestyle modifications, focusing on cardiovascular health, proper nutrition, stress management, and other factors we'll get into, you can dramatically improve your ability to both achieve and maintain quality erections. The fundamental principle to understand is that erectile function isn't just about one thing. It's about vascular health, nerve function, and hormonal balance all working together in harmony like an orchestra. If one section is out of tune, the whole performance suffers. Now that the physiological foundation is clear, you can understand why erectile function is so vulnerable to disruption. If anything interrupts this delicate vascular and neurological balance, whether it's a disruption in nerve signaling, poor blood circulation, hormonal issues, or even mental distraction, the erection will begin to fade. But the encouraging news from years of clinical experience is that in the vast majority of cases, you can regain control over this process. Let's break down the 7 most common reasons men lose their erection during sex. Based on both extensive clinical research and practical experience treating real patients, the first reason is something almost never discussed in mainstream advice, but it matters tremendously from a hemodynamic perspective. Gravity is literally working against you in certain positions. The position you're in during sex absolutely affects blood flow dynamics. When you're lying flat on your back with your partner on top of you, gravity is actually pulling blood away from your penis instead of helping it flow into the erectile chambers. This becomes especially problematic if you have any degree of venous leakage. That condition, where the valves don't seal completely and allow blood to drain out, venous leakage becomes increasingly common as men age, and it can also result from penile trauma or injury that damage those delicate valve structures. The second reason is psychological, and it's massive. Your brain is genuinely your most important sexual organ, even more important than your penis itself. Studies published in major research journals have shown that psychological factors account for up to 60% of erectile dysfunction cases, particularly in younger men who don't yet have significant physical or vascular issues. When your mind drifts during sex to performance anxiety and those intrusive thoughts start creeping in, thoughts like, am I doing this right? Does my partner like this? What if I lose my erection again like last time? That mental distraction literally activates your sympathetic nervous system. This is your fight or flight response, and it works directly against the parasympathetic response that's absolutely necessary for erection maintenance. You cannot be in fight or flight mode and maintain a strong erection simultaneously. It's physiologically impossible because these two systems oppose each other. The third reason relates to decreased penile sensitivity that happens as you get older. This is just natural aging, combined with potential nerve damage from various sources. Research published in urology journals demonstrates that penile sensitivity can decrease by up to 30% between ages 40 and 70. The tiny sensory nerve endings in your penis can become damaged over time from conditions like diabetes or cardiovascular disease, or even from mechanical trauma and wear. Additionally, blood vessels lose their natural elasticity and can't expand as effectively as they did when you were younger. When you have less sensation, you receive less stimulation, and insufficient stimulation makes it very difficult to maintain an erection during intercourse because your brain isn't receiving strong enough signals that sexual activity is occurring. The fourth reason is insufficient arousal or mental engagement. Sometimes you might be physically present in the moment, but mentally checked out, thinking about work stress, relationship problems, or just distracted by your environment. If you're not fully psychologically aroused and engaged, your brain simply won't send strong enough signals to maintain the complex vascular and neurological processes required for sustained erection. Arousal isn't just physical stimulation, it's also mental and emotional. You need both components working together for optimal erectile function. The fifth reason creates a vicious cycle that traps many men. Performance anxiety becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is one of the most common issues in clinical practice. Once you've experienced losing your erection during sex, even one time, the fear and anxiety about it happening again can actually cause it to happen repeatedly. That anxiety triggers your sympathetic nervous system, activating that fight or flight response, which directly opposes the parasympathetic response needed for erections. Research confirms that psychological factors, especially performance anxiety, are among the top predictors of ongoing erectile dysfunction. You get trapped in a mental loop where your fear of losing your erection causes the exact problem you're afraid of. The sixth reason is cardiovascular and vascular health problems. Poor overall cardiovascular health directly impacts erectile function because fundamentally, erections are a vascular event. They're all about blood flow. Conditions like hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, and atherosclerosis, where plaque builds up in arteries, can damage the delicate blood vessels throughout your body, including the small arteries in your penis. There's actually fascinating research showing that erectile dysfunction often precedes cardiovascular disease by 3 to 5 years, making erectile problems an early warning sign of broader vascular issues that could eventually affect your heart. The seventh reason is hormonal imbalances, particularly low testosterone. Testosterone is crucial for maintaining your sex drive, your erectile function, and your penile sensitivity. As testosterone levels naturally decline with age, typically dropping about 1% per year after age 30, many men experience corresponding decreases in erectile quality and sexual desire. It's all connected because testosterone affects how sensitive your nerves are, how strong your libido is, and even how well your vascular system responds to arousal signals. Now let's get into the practical solutions, the evidence-based strategies that can actually turn this situation around and help you regain control over your erectile function. The first solution is extremely simple but often overlooked. Completely empty your bladder before any sexual activity. A full bladder puts direct pressure on the pelvic nerves that control erection, and it can interfere with the neural pathways essential for maintaining firmness. This is basic anatomy, but so many men ignore it and then wonder why they're having difficulties. The second solution involves using gravity to your advantage, rather than fighting against it. Choose sexual positions strategically, positions where you're standing, kneeling, or where your partner is on top. Can work with gravity rather than against it, helping maintain blood flow into the erectile chambers and reducing the effects of any venous leakage you might have. This is particularly important for men over 40 who are more likely to have some degree of venous insufficiency. The third solution is prioritizing extensive foreplay for both you and your partner. When your partner is fully aroused before penetration begins, you'll naturally receive more stimulation during intercourse, which helps maintain your erection strength. Additionally, if your partner is completely ready before penetration, you don't need to maintain your erection quite as long during the actual intercourse phase, which reduces pressure and performance anxiety. This is about working smarter, not harder. The fourth solution is avoiding alcohol before sexual activity. Alcohol is a central nervous system depressant that significantly impairs the neurological reflexes necessary for erection maintenance. It also causes dehydration, which reduces your overall blood volume and can negatively impact erectile quality. Clinical studies have demonstrated that even moderate alcohol consumption can reduce erectile function by up to 25%. If you want optimal performance, save the drinks for afterward. The fifth solution involves spacing out ejaculation strategically based on your individual recovery time. Your body needs time after orgasm to rebuild neurotransmitters, hormones, and energy reserves. While the optimal frequency varies by individual factors like age, health status, and hormone levels, many men in their 40s and beyond find that spacing orgasms 7 to 10 days apart can noticeably improve erection quality and sexual stamina. This gives your system time to fully recharge. The sixth solution is considering the use of a constriction ring. These devices physically help trap blood in your penis by applying gentle pressure around the base, making it easier to maintain firmness throughout sexual activity. This can be particularly helpful if venous leakage is contributing to your erectile difficulties. From a medical perspective, these devices are safe when used correctly according to instructions, and they can be an effective tool to use alongside other treatments and lifestyle modifications. The seventh solution requires a longer-term commitment but offers the most sustainable results. Implement a comprehensive vascular support protocol. Real, lasting improvement requires addressing the underlying vascular and hormonal factors that affect erectile function. This includes optimizing your cardiovascular health through regular aerobic exercise, proper nutrition focused on foods that support nitric oxide production and vascular health, and targeted supplementation with compounds that have actual clinical research supporting their benefits. Things like French maritime pine bark extract, L-arginine, which is an amino acid precursor to nitric oxide, and pomegranate extract, which has been shown in studies to improve erectile function. The eighth solution addresses the sensitivity issues that become more common with age. To restore penile sensitivity, you need a multifaceted approach. First, ensure your testosterone levels are optimized through testing and appropriate treatment if needed. Low testosterone directly correlates with decreased sensitivity and reduced sexual response. Second, consider devices that provide controlled vibration to penile tissue. Research has shown that vibratory stimulation can increase local nitric oxide production and improve nerve sensitivity over time. Third, focus on improving your systemic nitric oxide levels through diet, including foods like beets, leafy greens, and citrus fruits, along with regular cardiovascular exercise and appropriate supplementation. Decreased sensitivity usually results from age-related changes to penile blood vessels, reduced nitric oxide production, impaired circulation, and decreased elasticity of the erectile chambers. So you need to address all these factors together for best results.